Okay, Daxipad, my boy Juju the cow, a man who dresses like a cow and gets fucked in the ass. After 5 years, Autistic Right, at my request, has gone through and compiled a new OP for the Dick Thread. It's pretty good. It's pretty comprehensive. It's missing a couple things. I'm going through and I'm just kind of like adding to it and rewriting a couple things and adding some content. Because Autistic is like brand new to Dick, so there's less, and he only knows him from the sector. So I'm kind of like backfilling in stuff he didn't really, especially about the biggest problem. I was late to the biggest problem, so everything I know about the biggest problem era is like things that I learned. But I was definitely there for the Dick Show stuff. Uh, so I should preface this and everything that I say by saying that when I talk about Dax, I never watch his reaction. I don't care what he has to say. I don't care about his tweets or whatever the fuck because what he does is this extremely obvious game where he will take one thing that you say and then argue against that and make a straw man out of it. And he will just try to get your attention. And people like post his tweets and are like, how does he believe this? And the answer is he doesn't. For almost everything that he says, he doesn't believe it. It's just to get people angry. It's just to get people talking to him. And that's why I really hammer the stuff home about like the cuties and the Vito the Pedo and the mint salad. Because those aren't things that he can easily wiggle around. And it always makes him look bad. And it's not fun for him to deal with. Like the fallout of being known as the guy that like simps for a pedophile movie, is a co-host with a pedophile, and pimps out retarded girls to retard friends. That's the kind of reputation that is debilitating for him, and that's why I hammer on that because it's like he will try to turn everything else into profit, and he can't profit off the truth regarding mint salad and everything. I compared his early podcast episodes because what I was looking for is I kind of wanted to see what the first stuff was with the cutie stuff because I had forgotten the cutie stuff. It's been so long. I know that he defended cuties, but like I didn't know the full context. So I went back and I was looking through the archive so I could transcribe the episode and skip around and see what the fuck he was talking about. And his argument regarding cuties is like dumb. It's basically like a series of cope points. It's just brilliant marketing. There's worth stuff on TikTok and YouTube, yada yada. Um, but when I did that, I realized that in his newer episodes, he has seriously lost access to people. Like I told him when the Digibro stuff happened, and the Digibro stuff was even before the cutie stuff. I said, if you fuck around with pedophiles like Digibro, if you fuck around with the pedophile shit, it's a third rail. It's a third line. You can't recover from it. The pedophile stank never goes away, and you don't want that. And if he had taken my advice, and if he had cut out Digibro and he had watched himself a little bit better and didn't go headfirst into the cutie shit, he would be in a like I think he would be making like 3 times what he does right now at least. But he didn't. He didn't listen to me because obviously, what the fuck do I know? I'm just some retard. I don't make any money, right? Do I even slay in a hot pussy in L.A.? Bro, what offer, what advice, what worldly wisdom do you possibly have? So, in his newer episodes, he doesn't have any guests. Like he's not shilling stuff like he used to. It's just really obvious that he's just trundling along, collecting his residuals from Patreon, the people that forgot they're subscribed to him. He's like broadcasting to nobody. He has Sean and Vito, and that's basically it. And sometimes he gets a call in from like a channel that has less than 10,000 subscribers, or he has a Discord guy call in. But that's basically it. Oh, but the sorry, I was talking about the OP. I was just kind of like I don't know. It doesn't make me happy, like to see that he's decayed so much. It doesn't make me happy. It's just like why did you choose this? Why do you choose to be the worst possible incarnation of yourself? It's a very strange question, um, but I feel it's the right one. It's like he chose this, and I don't understand why. It doesn't make you cool. It doesn't get you any hot LA pussy. Not getting pussy over here. So what are you doing? Like why squander your potential to be as big a retard as possible. So I will play a couple things from this, the new OP, just to entice you to read through it. It starts from literally when he was in high school, where he got the prom king, and this clip is a classic that I think everybody should be exposed to if you've not seen it before.
But look, the reality of it is why is everybody from New Project 2? Why is everybody from New Project 2 defending you? Why is everybody from New Project 2 defending you? Why is everybody from New Project 2 defending you? Why is everybody from New Project 2 defending you? Why is everybody from New Project 2 defending you?
You loose-ass, cleft-cock, taint-sucking motherfucker! Shut up!
Is yelling cool now? Is yelling
Peoples, you're not even... You've just said... Listen, I'll talk calmly for you.
Okay, that is the famous PPP thing, where he went in there, and he was just belligerent towards him, and, like, Dick could have handled shit better. Like, I was swept up in that as well, like the new Project 2 stuff. And I think he quotes me at some point in this regarding new Project 2 and how a lot of the concerns were just like concern trolling. And the PPP and I have discussed this, and he says now that I was just collateral in this, but it was very frustrating to deal with. And Dick being a fucking retard and picking these fights and stuff. If you don't remember, this call, by the way, was a fucking disaster. Since this is a short stream, I can go down memory lane a little bit. But that stream was a fucking nightmare. And this was another instance, now that I think about it, where Dick didn't take my advice. Because when he was having this call, Dax messaged me on Signal and said, Zoom wants on. And if you don't know, we have a thread on Zoom. He's also a pedophile. He's openly talked about watching a 9-year-old be sodomized. And he's also just one of the most, like, completely unlikable people that has ever been in the sector, and thankfully he's fucked off. But yeah, he was just like this like malignant pedophile tumor on the Ralph spear, and people talked to him because he was like good at doxing people, but he was always just like the biggest fucking dickhead ever. Like outside of just being a pedophile, he was like insufferable. And Dax messages me, says Zoom wants on to have that PPP. I'm like, no, don't let him on. Are you fucking stupid? He's not going to do your bidding. He's not some fucking henchman. But everyone gets this. Like, Ralph kept getting into this. Andy Worthke, like, everybody has fallen for this except me. Where they see Zoom and they think, oh, this belligerent pedophile retard psychopath criminal, this guy will do my bidding and then won't turn on me. And then they invite him on and immediately turns on him. So they get Corey Barnhill, a pedophile, on the show against my advice, and he immediately doxes Dax. Like, the first thing he does, he gets on, he just shows Dax's house on the fucking screen. And I'm like, what the fuck did you expect, you dumb motherfucker? I told you literally 30 minutes before it happened what was going to happen. But nobody listens to me. I'm fucking retarded. Anyways, this by the way, this particular clip gave birth to one of the best memes in the sector ever, which I'll play for you. It's called Daft Gunt Cleaning Up by Ear Jews.
Dick, you faggot motherfucker, how are you doing?
The conspiracy is true. Your gun shielding is disgusting. This is punishment from God. This is righteous. It looks like the winning is endless. Pick up the mop to clean that up. Swab the depths. Can't mop it up quick enough. Clean up aisle 7. Clean it up. Clean it up, boy. Clean it up. Clean it up, Jan. Clean it up. Clean it up, boy. Clean it up.
That part is like the best. It's just great. It's a wonderful, wonderful remix. I love song remixes of stuff. So that was the new Project 2 stuff, but more particularly him screaming at the top of his lungs, I live in a Barbie dream doll mansion. And yes, in case you're wondering, I was swept up in this. And because his house was like $1.4 million, I said, I guess that qualifies as a mansion. It's worth a lot of money. And everyone jumped at me and said, no, actually, there is an international mansion standard that has to be this many square feet to qualify as a mansion. And therefore, you're sweeping it up. Like, okay, fine, I guess it's not a fucking mansion. Who gives a shit? The Barbie dream doll part was the more cringe part to me, and the prom king part. Like, who gives a fuck if you're the prom king, bro? You're like 40. Get the fuck over it. Okay, this is the other part that is interesting. Section 2 is before he became actually, he was still Dick Masterson, but this was like his old pen name. Is that he was very inspired by Maddox. Maddox's old 2000s comedy blog, where he wrote diatribes that got picked up because people got offended, inspired him to make blog posts on a blog called Men Are Better Than Women. And these blog posts were eventually collated and refined and published as a treatment in a book called Men Are Better Than Women. And this book caused enough outcry for him to get invited to the Dr. Phil show. The Dr. Phil show that he was on was a 3-part series about judgmental people, where Dick, as playing Dick, and 5 other people were invited to the Dr. Phil ranch to try and cause some conflict, some entertainment. From Dax's recount, and this is just his side, he was very open about him playing up like a persona, and the production crew knew, and it's like they would go through like his segments with him and just kind of like let him retake things so that he could play up things more and more naturally. And I was here when he found this footage, and we watched it together. And I remember for like one of his bonus episodes, and I remember thinking how crazy it was, because it didn't really occur to me just how like fake reality television was. I know that sounds silly, but like it's really fake. They sit down with the people who are the actors, and they're all like Hollywood hopefuls. So they like go through it, and they let them retake things, and they pitch ideas and tell them what to, like, flat out will tell them, hey, it would be more interesting if you did this. And they all go along with it because they all want to be famous and shit. It's just like completely fucking fake. It's like having actors on the show. So I found that interesting. But his absolute peak in this Dr. Phil shit was this moment where he's arguing with the audience, and a woman stands up and says, no woman wants to date you, and then he claps back by calling her fat. And this clip was so important to him, so important to his identity and the Dick Masterson character as he developed it, that he literally like put like a bounty on this on this footage, and it took years until someone in Sweden realized that the King's Library maintains a record of every show ever published that aired on Swedish television. Because Dr. Phil, in this 3-part series, the 2 of the women that appeared as guests on the Dr. Phil ranch sued Dr. Phil, alleging that they took them out of context and made them look bad. So the episodes were pulled from syndication and held somewhere in a vault. But the Swedish King's Library had a full copy of it with hard-coded Swedish subtitles. So I clipped the highlight, and this is his absolute funniest moment. This is the peak of the Dax Herrera Hollywood career. He never surpassed this ever again, ever. And he had hundreds of people look for this footage so that he could relive this moment forever. Here we go.
Oh, I'm sure you have multiple blouses and multiple pairs of pants at home, but you chose these because they were your favorite. They were better than the others. That doesn't mean you hate the ones you didn't wear. I don't hate women. Men
What
are
does that have to do with having a date?
Men are better than women. Yes.
That's not answer my question. And take those stupid glasses off.
I'm sure Dr. Phil can back me up on that.
And show us how you look.
Women line up to date guys like me, and you've had them all on your show.
I don't see any women lined up at all. I don't see any women lined up to you, and I would definitely be at the end of that line.
Well, if you hit the treadmill a little more, you'd be at the front. What was that?
I didn't hear you because I'm sure it was something stupid, and I'm glad I didn't hear you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't either. Yes, ma'am.
It's not even that the joke was funny. It's just that when he says that
line.
Well, if you hit the treadmill a little more, you'd be at the front.
Look at her face. She is like going through stages of emotional processing. Absolutely fucking humiliated on national television. Has no idea how to clap back at that. Just completely outclassed. It's literally, it's not what he said. It's that she has nothing for it. She has nothing to say in response to that. That lands it, I guess. That's it. You want to know why Dax Ferrer continues to make fat woman jokes every single stream and has every single day for the last 15 fucking years? It's because once upon a time on Dr. Phil, he made a woman feel very bad, and a lot of people laughed at it. And he's constantly wanted to relive this ever since. This is the chasing the dragon. This is the high that he really desperately wants to achieve one more time. There you go. The other thing that is identified in this. Oh, by the way, Marie is a cam whore. I have decided conclusively that she is a cam whore. And I can prove these pictures came out a long time ago. It was rumored that Maddox himself leaked them. That's never been confirmed. But it's a really low quality image, and there's not many pictures of Marie, so it's like, well, is that her? And people were not very decided. But in the rebuttal video that Maddox put out 5 years too fucking late, called "When Fans Become Stalkers," there's a very brief sequence about Marie, and if you compare the images to the footage of her in the Maddox tape, it's very obvious it's her.
She's a teacher. She's a teacher in LA. She's got nothing to do with YouTube. She doesn't want to be famous. She doesn't want to be a celebrity.
Except that's a lie. She actually did create a YouTube channel and even asked me for help with it. I told her I'd help key out her green screen, but under the condition that I'd replace it with animal attack videos until she learned how to do it herself. She made a series where she takes out-of-context quotes from celebrities and tries to paint them as racist.
Hi, and welcome to Out of Context with Marie. I've been watching a lot of Man vs. Food lately, and I noticed that the host says a lot of things that could be considered racist when taken out of context. That's exactly what I've done. Enjoy.
So sorry, my stream says it's dead, but I'm not sure if it is. So you can tell, like, when you can see her in motion, there's not one still where she's exactly matching that pose, but when your mind's eye is allowed to develop a 3D idea of what she looks like, you can tell that's just her. There's no question about it. And this was a big deal because it's like, oh, sorry, let me just get the tits off the screen so you can focus on what I'm saying, chat. It's a big deal because he refuses to admit it. And you would think, like, well, what would a Giga Chad like Dax, why would he not simply admit that that's Marie? And the answer is that his whole career after the Maddox stuff was built on the fact that he scored Marie. Marie was Maddox's ex-girlfriend, and he stole her by being such an alpha male. They were filming The Biggest Problem in the Universe, and Marie was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm with this bald, low-T cuckold when I could be with that hot stud. And so she was just simply swept away by his masculinity, his alpha male energy. And unfortunately, because she chose him, he had no choice but to fuck her and turn Maddox into his cuckold, which of course puts him in the... There's a word for it. Chump syndrome. Gave him the chump syndrome, which is the basis of the LOL suit. The reality is that they've been broken up for 4 years by the time they get back together. And Marie was not over Maddox when it happened. I have another clip for that. Is this it?
Even though this letter isn't the pathetic get back together with me letter that he wanted it to be, wouldn't it be funny if that letter existed? A sad, sappy, get back together with me letter written by an ex who hadn't moved on. Wouldn't it be funny if that letter existed? Well, it does. Only I didn't write it. She did. My ex, Marie Valenzuela, wrote a letter to me after she found out I started dating someone new, trying to get back together with me. And her letter is time-stamped because it's an email. Maybe I'll start touring the country with it and violate her confidence like she did mine. Maybe I'll hype it up for months and then charge money to have it performed on stage. Or maybe I'll just read it to you right now for free. Without further ado, here's the letter that was sent to me on February 5th, 2015, and we'd only been broken up for 1 year and 3 months when she sent this letter, not 4 years like Fanboy was claiming.
This video, by the way, that full minute intro to this letter is a brilliant, clear-cut example of why Dax was able to completely outplay this guy, completely able to define public opinion of him, completely able to basically take his audience, take his career, and turn it into his own. Maddox is like just stumbling. You know, he apparently is a decent writer when he wants to do parody stuff, but when it comes to like catty banter, he just completely falls flat. He doesn't have a tenth of what Dick had, and so he just got completely outplayed. And even when he has this mountain of receipts to try and fling mud at Marie and at Dax and undermine the scenario that they set up, it's like he doesn't know how to articulate it. He doesn't know how to set things up without making himself look bad. And it came 5 years too late. And it's kind of a tragedy.
Cue the music.
Even though we've been broken up for a while now, it really solidifies that you've moved on and that it's permanently over. I guess I always just figured that in the end, when we were both ready, we'd make our way back to each other. I know it's a selfish way to think, as well as totally unrealistic. In a way, I guess this is good news for me. I shouldn't cling to the idea of you. So maybe it will force me to let you go and move on. It still hurts like hell though. For what it's worth, I will never feel about anyone else the way I did for you. It's not like someone will come along one day and I'll change my opinion on that. I know for a fact that this is true. Sorry I fucked everything up.
Uh-oh. That letter sounds like somebody wasn't over me, and still isn't, because in her own words, she'll never feel about anyone else the way she did for me. But she's dating Fanboy. Doesn't that mean... Oh no. Maddox Blast! I could have...
The Maddox Blast thing was a reference to when Dax had first met Maddox. He was trying to get books published, and his attempts to do this, he wanted to do the publishers apparently, according to Maddox, sent him letters saying we can't publish Dax's books unless you're willing to co-author it. So Dax was trying to like create like a Maddox Presents line of authorship where he would publish books under like his name so that it would have a better chance of being financially successful. And the Maddox Blast thing was like a bit that he was going to do in one of these treatments for like a Maddox Presents book. He uses it throughout this video. I just figured I would explain that. Anyways, okay, so there's that, and the whole alpha male thing where it's like, I can't have a prostitute girlfriend because that would undermine my I cucked Maddox thing. And then there's Jamie Lynn Hughes. I played a little bit of that, but I don't want to read these texts because they're so like cringe and sexual. Like I don't want these words to leave my mouth. But if you're very curious about the Juju the Cow thing, you can go ahead and read through them. And the whole Jamie Lynn Hughes thing. My whole point of all this that I was saying is that the OP has been revised. And that there is now context to the Juju the Cow thing, to the Jamie Lynn Hughes thing, and the Simpspiracy text, and all this other bullshit that did not previously exist in this OP. There is one thing I intended to read. There's an email here. Oh, okay, hold up. I remember what this is now. Okay, this is an email. I'll just read this. Actually, I don't think this is in the OP. This has to be added to the OP. One of the things that I've repeatedly railed on Dick for, and now it's too late. I can't even fix this. It cannot be fixed. Is that he basically only got together with Marie for the sole purpose of epically owning Maddox. And Marie is a school teacher, which is probably one of the reasons why he doesn't ever want to admit that those pictures of her in a schoolgirl uniform in porn are her, because that would look really bad for a school teacher. Sorry. But the situation here leaves me deprived of empathy. The other issue that he has, or that she has, is that I think that she would probably want kids. I don't know what the situation is with kids. Dax does not want kids ever. I believe that he's probably strung her along. There's no way that a woman who is Mexican, who works with children, does not want kids of her own. But she's 40 now. He's strung her along for how many years, and she cannot have kids. And I have evidence to back this up. This is a message that was from Marie to Jamie Lynn Hughes because they were friends, and I think, and he managed to get them to have a threesome one time. So he epically owns all the virgin incel prudes by arranging a threesome one time that has completely blown up in his fucking face and demonstrates once and for all that his formal relationship with Marie is misery. This is a letter that she wrote to Jamie Lynn Hughes that got published. And the fact that she's a school teacher that can't find the fucking enter key and doesn't know how to form paragraphs is a little bit concerning, but we'll just ignore that. It is LA after all. Marie says, and again, this is to Jamie Lynn Hughes, who is the third woman in their relationship. I know you must think I'm manipulative or something along those lines, or telling Dax to say and do awful things or never talk to you. If I were you, I'd think the same. I don't want this to upset you, but I do want to tell you exactly what happened that day. On Thursday, like I told you, I told Dax I couldn't do this anymore. It was the sex, sure, but there was never a time or conversation where I said you guys couldn't have sex. You had sex sometimes without me there, and I knew it, and it would be hard to tell me about it. I hated it, but it was the same way you hate knowing we have sex. Thursday was a combo of everything. The sex, him texting me afterwards to fawn over you, me, and this is underlined, me thinking I'm 34 and am actually regressing in my life and where I want to be in my relationship. Feeling sad that I won't have a baby or husband with the man I'm so deeply in love with because he's also dating another woman. I do not want this in my life. You know this. We talked about this on Thanksgiving. When I told him all this, by the way, this is 6 years ago. So she wanted kids and she wanted to get married 6 years ago. They're still together. She's now 40. The window is fucking gone. And they're still not married. He will never marry this woman. When I told him all this, he and I didn't speak at all. I sent him a fucking novel of an email Thursday night. God, an email between people in a 10-year relationship at this point. Thursday night, telling him pretty much all the things you and I talked about that night. How you and I don't want this, how we both love you so much, and how we've had to share you, and blah, blah, blah. And also vehemently defending you and telling him how badly he's treated you and all this, how regardless of what happens, he must apologize to you for your mistreatment, etc. Well, that email did not go over well. Oh well, I tried. So anyways, Friday rolls around. He tells me I need to come talk to him about this instead of sending a psycho email to me, so I agree. I'm already sad because Dax is never one to choose anyone. Every fiber in my body told me that he would say I'm not choosing. He's told us both that many times. I was prepping myself up all day to say goodbye to him, to not put myself in this position again, to not start the sick cycle over again that makes you and I so unhappy. Then he texted me, and I was already stressed and angry and lashed out. And instead of being rational and calm with you, I'm really sorry about that. I was probably also pushing you away because I was preparing myself for him not to choose and for me to say goodbye. I drive to the house after school, and as I'm walking in, he's silent. He then immediately tells me he broke it off with you. I'm in total shock. I did not expect that. And my first reason isn't, this is why all these emails got released, by the way. She got picked over Jamie Lynn Hughes, and Jamie Lynn Hughes is fucking irate about that. And my first reason isn't happiness, it's oh fuck, because I know what that means for you and for him. I don't think I'm some saint, but I did think I was going to bow out and let the rest of my life fall into place for you and deal with all the heartache. I asked why he did that. He's never done that before, etc. And he said he wasn't happy. He said he didn't want this anymore, our 3-person deal, and that it was making everyone, including him, miserable, and that he's tired of your tantrums and tired of me being depressed, and it's not worth it. He was horribly sad, but being sweet to me. I think he's just happy I came home and didn't kill myself or something. Friday night came, and it started to hit him what I had done, what was actually going on. Saturday was a shit show. We argued for, I think, 10 hours or so. He said I'm totally psychotic for every part of the email I sent, and the only reason I don't want our third-person relationship is because you snubbed me sexually, and I'm hurt by that. Then you told him on Friday that you were warming up to the idea of our 3-person relationship, so you actually do want it now, and I'm the one being difficult. How I ruined your life, how I ruined his life, how I'm the worst person and the worst type of woman imaginable, etc. Then he went and saw you, came back, and was even worse. The fights lasted an entire week. Silent treatment, constant guilting, cursing out, the works. And in that week, he said a lot of things he hasn't before. That he wants to see you alone, but because of me, he never did. That he wants to go out on dates with you, but because of me, the thing is, he never ever brought it up before with me, or asked, or expressed this. I'm sure he was afraid of my reaction, but I've never heard it. I even told you, and I have no idea what he wanted, or that he wanted that, because he simply never said it. So anyways, he kept telling me how much he cares about you and loves you and wants to be with you as well as me. It was eye-opening and also sad, selfishly sad. Like, I'm so happy that the love you have for him is reciprocated, but fuck, it really solidifies his wants, which are that he wants both of us forever. Anyways, it was a non-stop guilt and hurt and silent treatment train for a full week, until the thing that happened with your apartment and I reached out to you. Then he was happy as a clam. And I think he means the. And I think that he thought that means everything is fine. And I told him no, it's not. There needs to be some talk or solution to this. I can't do this. And it's tough now that he thinks you do want this. And I know that if you did end up with him, he'd push for this again with someone else, with that thought that you're open to it. Same with me. I'm rambling now. Yeah, definitely. Enter key would help enormously, Marie. At one point in our arguments, Dax said that he and Frozen were talking about it, and she told him that if I really didn't want to have threesomes with you all anymore, to just not. To say no. It's not that hard. And the truth is, I don't want them. I just want to make him happy. They're not even fun anymore in that way to me because so much hurt and sadness and broken futures are behind it. So after the concert where he told me to take my shirt off, I said no. I don't want to go there, and I can't anymore because it just sends the wrong message to him. And to you, too. And he was not happy about it, clearly, and he gave me shit about it yesterday and today. I think that he thinks the next time we're together it will happen, but it can't. Anyways, Dax told me to think of possible solutions to this, and I did. I haven't shared them with him yet because he's busy with Patreon and it's fucking Christmas, and none of them are what he would want. I can share them with you. Maybe you have your own because it's confusing, but almost all of mine involve me moving out. I don't want to continue with Dax in this capacity where he's so involved with you. However, I cannot have him leave you and then resent me for it, and then you are destroyed and taken by surprise when he also really wants to be with you, and it's some weird unrequited love thing. It's just not going to happen. What the three of us are doing is just plain crazy. I don't hate you. I care about you. I didn't mean for all this to work out the way it did, and I see, looking back now, I could have just done things differently, so that it didn't end in him panicking and ending things with you randomly, and then taking it back and continuing to talk to you every single day. All I know is until it gets worked out, I am completely backing off. You all do what you want. See each other whenever you want. I won't say anything or do anything. I've clearly been controlling and creating boundaries, and I wouldn't want that. I don't want to do that anymore. That's a bit longer than I expected. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, I could probably have cut that off at the red line because the rest of it is just like spaghetti spewing forth from the brain. It's like the ticker tape of the brain. That she can't process the situation. It's an unnatural situation. People aren't supposed to be in it. She's being manipulated and taken advantage of, and feels bad about it because she's gaslit into thinking that threesomes are just how life's supposed to work. Obviously, he's such a rich and famous internet celebrity. I should be expected to share and to do what he wants. But obviously, people aren't designed for that kind of thing. And it leads to fucking disaster, such as being outed as being Juju the cow, man who gets fucked in the asshole dressed as a cow. Now, as I mentioned, the really depressing thing is the part in red, where she says, I wanted a family, I wanted to get married, and now I'm 40, and I'll never have that ever, and Dick took that away from me. And I think that one day, Marie will kill him. I believe, this is my prediction for real, that one day she will look back at her last 10 years on Earth and the things that she gave up and what she's gotten back for it, and will realize that she has given up things of incalculable worth, of one of a kind life experiences that she will never ever have, and she gave it up for a brown, unfunny, selfish prick who probably by a certain point will also not have much money. And she will decide that that is not fair. And she, being a Latinx, will take a firearm from the house and walk up to Dax as he sleeps and shoot him in the head, and he will be dead. And then she will be arrested, and she won't care. Because what is the difference between living in a women's correctional facility in LA and living in that Hollywood Hills Barbie dream doll mansion with Dax? Probably not much. That is my true prediction. I'm not even fucking joking, Jack. Just how I think it is. It could also go the other way, where she will find out he's cheating on her with like an 18-year-old, and and probably find like love letters on his phone, like, "Hey babe, you're so young and fertile. I can't wait to have kids with you." And then she'll just like fucking snap. She'll just take out a knife, and it won't be no clean shot to the back of the head in the bed. She'll be stabbing that motherfucker in the sternum, bam, 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 until he's dead. Until he stops having those death throw seizures that you have when brain leaves your blood leaves your brain. You start seizing up. It'll be like that. Such is life. Anyways, that is the Juju the Cow segment. Such a segment has never... Actually, one more recent, contemporary Juju the Cow segment. This. You may remember that on the last episode of Mad at the Internet, I covered Juju the Cow calling Eric July a fake libertarian because Riley was arrested, and pointing out how that didn't really make sense. However, if there is anything that is more fake libertarian than calling the police, I dare say it's this. It is contacting the IRS. Let's pull up this Z. Tom Wood says, by the way, I wonder what he mean by "we pay the rest" when he announced the charity deal. At Ricardo Law, do lost profits count as a charitable donation? And then he says, I don't know. Let's ask the IRS tax pros, and pros stands for prosecution. Dick Masterson has attempted to narc on Eric July to the IRS, the anti-libertarian. I mean this sincerely. I'm not actually fucking joking. It would be better for Dax to be a fucking pedophile than to be a stan for the IRS. Because you talk about a pedophile. Let's say a pedophile is given free reign to molest kids. He can only molest so many kids. The IRS can do so much worse. It has so much power, so much capacity for human suffering, that it could just... to sit there and to simp for the IRS, to work for the IRS. The IRS is so evil that the Bible literally has a verse and explaining that a tax collector can go to heaven. And the reason why this is in the Bible is because the worst thing you could ever possibly fucking be is a tax collector. It's not a pedophile, it's not a murderer, it's a tax collector. So it has to be explicitly written into the Bible that God can give grace to a tax collector, because that is the worst person you can possibly fucking be. And here we have Juju the Cow begging the IRS to do what he cannot and end Eric July. On the far-flung hope that there is some obscure tax law that he possibly has violated, that he can bring him down on. That is fucking cringe. That's how fucking desperate he is to get a win over this black guy who has done literally nothing to him. Not a single fucking thing. I guess he watches Kino Casino. That's his crime. It's just pathetic. Oh well. Enjoy living with a woman who hates you, Dick.